Hi, my name's Elliot Kay and I'm known as the coach with a hat. Hats off, guys. I don't care if my hair looks a mess right now, I really don't care. Here's the thing, in my journey to where I am today, I faced challenges, lots of challenges. I grew up with a father that had drinking problems, and I had to come to terms with that. I lived in a war-conflicted country where bombs were flying over my head regularly, and literally you would sometimes be walking home and seeing your friend's name that's about to be buried, and it would just come out of nowhere, and it was a way of life. You know, I've had to deal with that. I grew up at a time where parents getting divorced wasn't cool. That, you know, is a rarity. So when it came apparent that my parents are getting divorced, and it came out in school that my parents are getting divorced, I was treated a bit like a leper. Anyone would have thought I'd had a disease and no one could, you know, get near me, and it was so contagious, this getting divorced type thing. I also have eczema and asthma in my growing up. And then that's just a really tiny part. Look, I'm well aware that there's people that have had it a lot worse than a father that drinks a lot, or, you know, being bullied at school, whatever you want to call it. But this is my journey, but I've always had a hunger for success. When I decided to start working on my relationship with my father, I realized I had to rebuild my connection with him. I did that at the age of 16. I gave up a really good social life, everything, to rebuild my relationship with my father. And that came with its own challenges. Walking around with the notion that your father isn't normal as you're growing up really comes with a lot of heavy emotional bearings. I couldn't really communicate with my mother either. She was a workaholic, so I had an alcoholic and a workaholic. So I was left to my own devices when I was growing up. I got into knife fights. I used to fight loads. Like, I used to go out every day and get into a fight, because that's the way I learned to express myself. I used to throw chairs at people, at teachers. I used to walk into schools and teachers were like, "Get out," like before I'd even said anything. And I grew up with that, but still I knew inside me something is destined for success, something is destined for greatness. And when I decided to pursue my path at the age of 21 into a career that I really wanted to do, against everyone's advice, against everyone telling me not to do it, I managed to get in. I succeeded, I tasted success, but it always comes with challenge. But that wasn't the success I'm talking about now. I against all odds, got into a dance school at the age of 21. I hadn't danced before, yet I got in. That came with challenges. I had no money, I had no funding, I had nothing to my name. And I knew I had to work every night and every weekend to make this dream happen. And that's what I did. And I had a fairly successful career up until the age of 30. I did 5 years of dancing around the world. I accumulated well over 1,000 hours of stage time. One could think I was successful. One could think that was good. I was getting called for jobs. It was all right. But then I got injured. And the universe always gives us the lesson that we need to learn. And that changed my path. And I thought all there was my career. And actually I learned to expand and to move forwards from that. And then I had to rebuild. How many of you can relate to needing to rebuild, coming so close to your dream, and you smell it and you taste it, and then it gets taken away from you? That's what happened to me. So I went to a fairly dark place. I went into autopilot. I just went into robot mode. I got myself another job and I just started to work and attempted to be normal. How many of you can relate to being normal? Didn't work for me. Inside I always had this entrepreneurial streak. I was always working on new ideas, working on new things. And I started to build myself. I got into training and I got into coaching. And I started to build my coaching business. And at one point I thought I'd hit success. I thought I was doing well. I had some paying clients and they were paying me well. And then once again the universe taught me a lesson. And within literally a month I'd lost everything. I'd lost all my clients because they were ready to go. But I didn't plan. I didn't plan any more marketing. I got comfortable with the clients I had. I believed that they would simply be there forever. And guess what? They weren't. So I went from making quite a lot of money to nothing. I lost the relationship that I was in, that I was madly in love with this girl. Fell apart, all in 1 month. and I was abroad. I came back to the UK with no money, with zero, not knowing how I'm going to pay rent, literally lying there in my bed in West London, wondering how the freak am I going to pay my rent. And it wasn't until I really, truly dived deep into my unconscious and looked at all of my patterns, looked at all of what's driving me, what was my engine, that I could start to deal with this. That I could start to really empower people in their journey to success. Why? Because I looked at me first. This isn't an intellectual activity. This is about going down inside. I looked at my relationship with money. I looked at my relationship with success, my real relationship. I looked at my self-sabotaging behavior. And it was there. I didn't think I was good enough. How many of you can relate to that? Whatever I was saying, and even though I was coaching and getting results, unconsciously I still had an issue with my value. Can you relate to that? Not thinking that I was good enough. So I went deep, and it took a good 9 months to really look at everything and strip it away and rebuild, and strip it away and rebuild. And even now, I'm further down the line. Financially, I'm a lot better. I'm not where I want to be, but I'm a lot better. I still have to look and deal with the challenges that surface. Because every time you deal with something, something else will surface. And you deal with that, something else surfaces. It's about continuous. You see, we have this attachment to reaching somewhere, to being on a journey. Yes, it's a journey, but we never really arrive. But through our journey of arriving, we always step up. And until I got that concept, and I really looked inside at my own relationship with love as well, with sex, you name it. I had to look at every area of my life and address my programming, my patterns, my self-worth. Am I good enough? Am I worthy of love? Am I really worthy of having a lot of money? And it's then when things shifted. It's then utilizing the tools, and I started to develop my very own strategy and coaching system that allowed me to move out of that, to deal with all the judgment that goes around having a father that's alcoholic, that I thought I dealt with, that having all the judgment around love and what does love mean and my worthiness with love, my relationship with money. I would hit success and lose it. Hit success, lose it. Sometimes outright reject it. I had to learn to accept it, embrace it, really on an unconscious level. I don't mean in my head. I mean truly understand that money stays where it's respected, where it's welcome, from an energetic level, from a spirit level, from a soul level, as well as an intellectual level, what it can do for you. I had to look at all that. Am I a complete product? No. But am I impacting people's lives now as a result of going inside and really addressing my issues? Yes, I am. And I did that because I had to, because the other option was to fail. And that wasn't an option for me, because I equated that to be like my father. And I made myself a promise when I was really young that I will never be that way. So that's what it is. So now I'm much further down the line. I am better, but I'm not there. And that's what drives me. And seeing people shift, letting go of traumas, letting go of things that affected their lives through the work I do is what I live for. My purpose in life is to give people the tools to have more inner peace, not to deal with the conflicts and carrying them around every day like I did. That's so self-destructive that you deny yourself the basic things that the world is offering you, the universe, the basic things like love, the basic things like success. It's not about what you perceive, it's what you can do. And that means looking and addressing it and honing your skill, working hard, dealing with your challenge. It never goes away. But when you have better tools to deal with the challenge, then your ability to move forward is continuous. But it took me to look at my stuff, look inside. It's a continuous process. It doesn't stop. That's why I put Power to Succeed together, because I realized that actually it's about me sharing what worked for me. And if it works for me, I'm a regular guy. I'm no Superman, I'm no hero, I wasn't born particularly intelligent, I wasn't born particularly into wealth, you know, and I still think there's people that have it a lot worse than me. But I know these tools work because I've worked with anything from people to ex-offenders, to very wealthy people, to professionals, you name it. These tools work because they worked on me. And that's exactly why I do what I do. So this is me, Elliot Kay. Hats off, messy hair, heart for you.